the way I do it is it's a semester for each package. So they have ample time, and there's learning involved in that. In the first semester, they're learning a lot of stuff. So we do lessons, there's 6 different lessons we do, we talk about it. All right, everyone go take a camera, go get your B-roll, we'll talk about it. We do all that, and we're learning along the way, so it takes a full semester to do it, because we're learning. The second semester, it takes a month. It doesn't take that long, because now there's no lessons, it's just, okay, what's your story? Okay, go do it. Even with that, we still have the show. I bet you could, my kids in my senior level class, they turn out a show every week. They have one package a week. Granted, their packages are not involving people out in the community. That's one of the things, it's like all of our JV packages, our PBS packages, we want to interview the judge, or we want to interview the senator, or we want to talk to Maria Starfin, the superintendent. Well, that takes time. It's like, well, we got to talk, who's your publicity person? Okay, well, can we send in this request? Okay, well, oh, they're out of town for 2 weeks. So because of that, it can take a long time just because you're going for that quality, and it's the people that you're trying to talk to, that's the hardest part of it, is you're trying to talk to these people, and they just don't have the time for you on your schedule.
I think this program's working in many different schools in many different environments. So I have a lot to share with that, so if you want to kind of get in touch with me, we can talk about, how you're thinking of implementing it and, what the different areas are. I can say it does not work in an AP history class. I've tried that. They were trying to partner with their production class, and so the AP kids did this amazing job of figuring out, the topic was the Supreme Court. They figured out all these ways that cases that were before the Supreme Court right now related to colonial issues, about, freedom of religion and all this stuff. And then they tried to pass it off to the production class and tell them, here's your script, here's what you guys are going to go do, you guys are the techies, go do it. Didn't work. But I have had it work successfully in science classes where there was a media element, and it probably took 2 months with other learning going on. So maybe 1 class per week was devoted to the media production element of their overall class. So there are many different permutations. And what you saw were, yes, really great videos. There are videos on the site, and you can take a look at them, that are shorter, simpler. We had kids in the Gulf Coast go out and investigate the oil spill. They did, 2 interviews with local business people about how the oil spill affected their business, with a narration and some voiceover, and it probably took them a month. So, different ways to do it.
Go ahead.
I'll use the mic. I teach this stuff for a living. I used to work in network news. So when I get feedback to our students, I start with wow and then wonder. So my wow was, I think the best thing about this is actually the choice of stories. I think that brings a unique approach and vocabulary to what the student thinks. That's great. My wonder is that especially if PBS is interested in getting younger people interested in watching the news, you mentioned a bit of mimicry there. It seems like they're following a very templated, old-fashioned visual vocabulary, and that belies what kids are actually truly doing and putting on YouTube. Is it just because of the way PBS and the NewsHour works that you sort of force them into that? Could you actually get them to be a little more creative?
Yeah, I hear you. And this is something, Gil came to Washington, D.C. We had a teacher professional development meeting in January, and I think there were 16 teachers. And it's definitely something that we were talking about, is ways to ask them to be creative. When we started this project, it was so amorphous, we didn't have any examples. And then the examples started to come in, and they were, yes, like mini NewsHour, pieces, which is not our goal. And so we've talked about ways of incorporating, animation and using StoryCorps kind of philosophies to tell, stories, and using different techniques. We can play, Gil might want to talk about this for a moment, and then we're going to play another piece where the students will see a little bit more freedom.
Yeah, and that's kind of, like Leah was saying, it's like these are like our baby steps, and now we want to move into like cinematic documentary where like no one asks questions, and people are just talking, and really take it from a cinematic perspective, which is my deal. I'm a cinema guy, I'm a film production guy. Journalism is not my deal. That's why I love this, because the whole line about you teach what you know and you learn what you don't. This was a great opportunity for me to learn journalism. And I thought it was a key component for my kids going through 4 years. It would boost their ability to get a gig after high school or college, a big stepping stone going into college, versus if I just stuck with my short form narrative style and I just did the documentary style that I like. I wanted to round them out. And because I had these powerhouse mentors in Lynn and Erica that know this, that did this for Dateline, I'm like, yes, you may come in here, you may do your thing. But that is definitely something that I'm always thinking about and I want to kind of grow up. And I think what I'm going to do personally is I'm going to let them do that in sophomore year, just the way they do it. And then come the later year, maybe they're junior or senior, okay, now we're going to do packages in this other kind of style.
And it's a balance that we're constantly dealing with. We worked with a class in Philadelphia which didn't have as much direction, and the kids did some amazing stop animation, but their report about climate change was about the Mayan calendar in 2012, and the principal was like, wait a minute, we need to find a balance somewhere between what the NewsHour is asking us to do in terms of taking important national topics and looking at how they're playing out in the community, and allowing the kids to kind of really have fun with it. And there's other ways to have fun, and something that Gil and another teacher created, we've created something called March Media Madness. So where the students have already kind of told these news stories, now they get to have a tournament where they're competing against each other, all the different sites across the country, with short little 30-second pieces, and have that kind of motivation, that community, that kind of competition.
That's another thing we're trying to build here is community with students across the nation.
Yeah.
So it's like, the first step is like, well, okay, we need t-shirts, So we got t-shirts printing, and we all have, all the kids in every little group, every little lab has the same t-shirt. And so we want to build these pockets, like, when the kids know that they're part of something bigger than themselves, outside of high school, like there's another team in Philadelphia doing a story on this. And that's why I kind of wanted the March Media Madness thing to happen. I worked with Glenn Dietz, the Florida teacher. I'm like, we got to do something to where the kids are talking more with fun stuff. And so it's a tournament bracket, and we're going to do like a Google Hangout to where the kids see each other in the Hangout that are going like against the competition, or just talk about their projects. So that's another goal of the 2 hours piece, is building community across the nation with the kids, not just our own little segments.